dream big and fight hard, not when we dream small and quit before we get started.
I would like to respond to that.
All right, folks, I'm now on YouTube.
Simply because you have different ideas.
Babylon 5. Wow, I haven't seen that in forever.
I wouldn't even be up on this stage if it wasn't for unions and the dignity of work. If my grandpa didn't have unions protecting him in those mines, he wouldn't have survived. If my mom didn't have unions as a teacher, she wouldn't have been able to make the wages she made when my parents got divorced. So just because we have different ideas and get to the same place.
Unions didn't save you. They saved themselves.
We are in Ohio. We can win
Reggie.
Ohio in the presidency, but only if we unite.
The only way you're going to win Ohio is with crooked ballot of poll watchers and illegal aliens.
Senator Harris, you want to give working families.
You ain't going to win Ohio any other way. Or most of the other flyover country that you don't give a damn about. Hey, Sandy.
Well, here's how I think about it. When I was
Y'all like, share, and comment on this.
Raised my sister and me. We would often come home from school before she came home from work. She'd come
and
home
smoke pot and listen to Snoop Dogg in the 90s or whatever.
Go to bed and she'd sit up at the kitchen
before getting segregated.
Trying to figure out how to make it all work. And when
lower her taxes.
We are now in 2020.
I gotta get my back.
It's on the ballot in terms of impeachment. It's on the ballot in terms of economic.
This Arkansas Tea Party T-shirt. Oh, by the way, anybody going to Trump in Dallas? He's going to be in Dallas on Thursday.
After everyone's gone to sleep and sitting there with his cup of tea or coffee, trying to figure out how he's going to make it work, and he's probably sitting there deciding that on that minimum job that does not pay enough for him to
lower his taxes,
he's going to have to start driving an Uber. And what does that mean? That means that with those two jobs, he's going to miss his kids' soccer games. That's the reality for Americans today.
If you're having to consider Uber, don't put him in soccer.
When I get elected and pass this bill, which will give the American family who makes less than $100,000 a year a tax credit of up to $6,000.
Well, I'll provide some commentary for you, Jodelle.
That's going to make a real difference in that man.
I should have got me some Yuengling beer, but I'd forgotten about these until the last minute.
Mr. Yang, your response. Would you oppose a wealth tax?
Senator Warren is 100% right that we're in the midst of the most extreme winner-take-all economy in history. And a wealth tax makes a lot of sense in principle. The problem is that it's been tried in Germany, France, Denmark, Sweden, and all those countries ended up repealing it because it had massive implementation problems and did not generate the revenue that they projected. If we can't learn from the failed experiences of other countries, what can we learn from? We should not be looking to other countries' mistakes. Instead, we should look at what Germany, France, Denmark, and Sweden still have, which is a value-added tax. If we give the American people...
Andrew Yang, you need to leave the Democrat Party and join the Libertarians. And Tulsi, what's her name, probably needs to do the same. Or at least, well, maybe the Green Party or the...
Do you think a wealth tax?
I don't know. Andrew Yang might be Libertarian, or might be Green Party, rather.
I think we need to be focused on...
the Beto.
...people up. And sometimes I think that Senator Warren is more focused on being punitive or pitting some part of the country against the other, instead of lifting people up and making sure that this country comes together around those solutions. I think of a woman that I met in Nevada. She's working. Any American with disabilities knows just how hard it is to make it and get by in this country already. Some of those jobs working for some of these corporations, she wants to know how we are going to help her. How we're going to make sure that her child has the care.
No, I don't want the government to help me. I want the government to get the hell out of the way.
She just has to work one job because it pays a living wage. And Senator Warren said, show me your budget, show me your tax plan, and you'll show me your values. She has yet to describe her tax plan and whether or not that person I met would...
It's written in Cherokee. That's the problem.
In my administration, if you make less than $250,000...
You'll have to get your Mexican brethren to wipe her tribe out before you can see them.
Thank you, Congressman. I want to give Senator Warren a chance to respond.
So I'm really shocked at the notion that anyone thinks I'm punitive. Look, I don't have a beef with billionaires. My problem is you made a fortune.
You're liberal. You're not supposed to have beef at all.
Good for you. But you built that fortune in America. I guarantee you built it in part using workers all of us help pay to educate. You
didn't build that.
Getting your goods to market.
Hey, Jeff.
Bridges, all of us help pay for. You built it at least in part, protected by police.
You know, I want to
and
see if I can.
firefighters. All of us help pay the salaries for.
If anyone wants to go online and help chat about this, you're free to do so.
The top 1/10 of 1%, then pitch in 2 cents so every other kid in America has a chance.
No, because government will steal half of those 2 cents. That's why we don't want to pitch in another 2 cents.
Working and need help through an
That's
expanded.
just too much government overhead.
That is
Child tax credit, which we will do in my administration.
Hey, anybody want to be brought on camera?
This is universal child care for every baby in this country. Early educational opportunities for every
Pre-born or
child.
post-born?
Universal pre.
Okay, I got one person on YouTube, but that's okay. It doesn't matter.
3-year-old and 4-year-old.
But in addition to that, will they see a tax increase?
No, raising the wages of every child.
Hey, Wanda. Hey, copy this link and share it to other people, and you can go down and take your phone, copy this. There's also a way where you can watch Facebook videos. There should be like a little square where you can minimize it to while you're on Facebook. You can still listen to this and then show it to other people.
And you see that everybody has their own plans. And
Hey, James.
The way that I view
Hey,
this
James,
is-
you want to come on and contribute to the Democrat debate?
A lot of folks in this room grew up, and folks that are watching on TV. I grew up with my twin brother Joaquin in a single-parent household.
Oh,
My mom
Fidel
also
Castro's on.
us, and also her mom, my grandmother.
Okay, it's Julian Castro, but let's be honest, it's Fidel Castro without a beard. That's all he is.
At the first of the month, or sometimes have the electricity turned off. And when I was a kid, to look at the grocery list that seemed to get shorter and shorter. And that's what's happening to a lot of families these days. I was in Las Vegas.
Because they're overtaxed and they're paying for illegal aliens.
In storm drainage tunnels under the Las Vegas Strip, in the shadow of hotels and casinos that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars, where people from around the world are spending.
Most of them are drug addicts. They want to live there.
We can do better than that. I believe that a wealth inequality tax, as I propose, is part of the answer, but also
Hey, Wanda.
I propose an inheritance tax, raising the top.
Hey, you want to? Anybody? Let me know if you want to bring me on camera.
Please respond.
Well, first of all, I just want to respond by, we've got one shot to make Donald Trump a one-term president. And how we talk about each other in this debate actually really matters.
Hey, Amber.
I've had the privilege of working with or being friends with everybody
Let
on
me
this
invite
stage,
somebody
and
in.
tearing each other down because we have a different plan, to me, is unacceptable. I have seen this script before. It didn't work in 2016, and it will be disaster for us in 2020. And so I have a different plan than Elizabeth Warren. I have a different plan than many people on this
Hey,
stage.
let me know if you want to be brought on
And it
camera.
involves, again, fair taxes for the richest. We have a lot of work to do there, but we've had 20 years of presidential debates, and we have never talked about the violence in America of child poverty. We have got to begin to talk more eloquently and more persuasively and urgently about doing the things, not just to make sure fair taxes are paid by people on the top.
Who defines what the hell's fair?
The moral obscenity of having the highest levels of child poverty in the industrial world. My plan will focus on that.
If you get control, we won't even be industrial.
Just by what we're against. But
You want to take away climate. That's what the industrial world is. It depends on
Thank you, Senator Booker.
carbon being produced.
We gotta take a quick break.
And I don't believe your stupid stat either.
Live from Otterbein University in Ohio. Will be right back after this.
Hey, Billy Sue.
The CNN New York Times Democratic presidential debate is brought to you by Jack Ryan. New season coming November 1st on Amazon Prime Video.
The Russians are secretly selling weapons to Venezuela.
We need the team to go into the jungle and get eyes on.
We do this. Nobody's coming to save us.
That's 100%.
All teams ready? Go!
I'm just making my own little comment here.
The amount of student loan debt I have, I'm embarrassed to even say. I felt like I was going to spend my whole adult life paying this off.
Thanks to SoFi, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
As of 12 p.m. today, I am debt free.
We have no debt. We don't owe anybody anything, and it's fantastic.
And guess what? I never started on debt in the first place because I even knew back then that the college loan thing was a scam. That's why I'm not in debt. Hold on, I'm responding to somebody else. There's somebody asking me about the Trump Dallas event, and I'm going to see if there's still tickets available.
Hi, I'm Ron Reagan, an unabashed atheist, and I'm alarmed by the intrusions of religion into our secular government. That's why I'm asking you to support the Freedom from Religion Foundation, the nation's largest and most effective association of atheists and agnostics, working to keep state and church separate, just like our founding fathers intended.
Absolute 100% lie, and you're a damn liar for putting that. There is no such thing as separation of church and state in the Constitution. Let me see events. So I'm responding to somebody else on a separate thing. Actually, a conservative activist of mine asking me link to register for. Politically register for Trump Dallas, but I don't know if there are any available. So let me see if I can do that right now.
The impeachment inquiry. Stay updated.
Well, it shows that it's still available. I don't want to actually register because I only accidentally have one. So somebody will have to try that. Wayne, go ahead and try that link that I sent to you and see if that'll work.
No lung cancer.
But I quit smoking.
You may still be at high risk.
That should be a link that works. So go ahead and try that link out. If it gives you a ticket, let me know. If it doesn't, if it says if it's full, let me and everybody else know because I can't do it because if I register, I'll accidentally get another extra ticket.
You went to bed grown and then you woke up a child again. To everyone, you are a child, so start acting like.
Also, I think Rebecca may have gotten 2 tickets. So if she did, you can go ahead and
order now from your rentals tab.
Let me see what's going on the YouTube. Yeah, it's just one person watching. That's okay.
We could have a house like out of the back.
Exactly what I want to come home to.
Oh.
We are KiwiCo, and we deliver hands-on STEM projects designed to inspire young innovators.
Oh, thanks. Good. Yes, I'm YouTube live streaming this too.
Get your first month free. Try KiwiCo.com.
This is CNN.
I'm not sure. I might be getting a ride with somebody else. I was going to ask you that, Wayne. I have been coordinating with somebody else.
From Otterbein University in Westerville.
I've seen parts of it. I've seen some of the parts from Project Veritas. That's why I made the little comments on there about this.
America's long-term Kurdish allies. As a result, Turkey has now invaded Syria. ISIS detainees have escaped, and the Kurds have announced a new deal with the government of Damascus, a victory for Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad, Russia, and Iran. Vice President Biden, we know you would not have withdrawn troops from northern Syria in this way, but that is already in process. So would you send American troops back into northern Syria to prevent an ISIS resurgence and protect our Kurdish allies?
I would not have withdrawn the troops, and I would not have drawn the additional 1,000 troops who are in Iraq, which are in retreat.
You are all liars. You all were opposed to the Iraq war. You supported Obama pulling out.
ISIS folks escape from the prisons they're in. They'll only go to Europe. It won't affect us. It has been the most shameful thing that any president has done in modern history, in terms of foreign policy. And the fact of the matter is, I've never seen a time, and I've spent thousands of hours in the Situation Room, I've spent many hours on the ground in those very places in Syria and in Iraq. And guess what? Our commanders across the board, former and present, are ashamed of what's happening here. What I would do is I would be making it real clear to Assad that, in fact, he's going to have a problem.
Jesus, Trump is having a rally in Dallas on Thursday, this Thursday at 7 p.m. I'm trying to, there's a couple people, Wayne Beach asked about it earlier. I'd send a link. I don't know if there are tickets available, and I can't check and see. Last time I checked, it still had tickets available, but at any moment it could say no.
Those 1,000 troops that are having to withdraw under fire, make it clear that they're not going anywhere, and have them protected, and work my way back toward what in fact needs to be done, protecting those.
You do the same thing that Obama did. Give money to our allies and let ISIS go more powerful and let more Muslims into our country.
Should get out of Syria now. You don't agree with how.
And the cowards at CNN will not talk about the fact that these same people, this same party, were absolutely opposed to the Iraq War.
The reality of the situation there, which is that the slaughter of the Kurds
Yes, this Thursday
being done by Turkey is yet another negative consequence of the regime change war that we've been waging in Syria. Donald Trump has the blood of the Kurds on his hand, but so do many of the politicians in our country from both parties who have supported this ongoing regime change war in Syria that started in 2011, along with many in the mainstream media who have been championing this regime change.
I actually like her. She's correct.
Not only that, but
it's on CNN.
New York Times and CNN have also smeared veterans like myself for calling for it.
Oh my goodness, yes!
Just 2 days ago, the New York Times put out an article saying that I'm a Russian asset and an Assad apologist and all these different smears. This morning, a CNN commentator said on national television that I'm an asset of Russia. Completely despicable. As president, I will end these regime change wars by doing two things. Ending the draconian sanctions that are really a modern day siege, the likes of which we are seeing Saudi Arabia wage against Yemen, that have caused tens and thousands of Syrian civilians.
Well, what we need to do is not do business with anti-American countries. It's that simple.
Terrorists like Al-Qaeda,
I don't know, Jesus.
who've been the ground force in this ongoing regime change war. I'd like to ask Senator Warren if she would join me in calling for an end to this regime change war in Syria, finally.
Oh,
So
call that front
I
runner.
think that we ought to get out of the Middle East. I don't think we should have troops in the Middle East, but we have to do it the right way, the smart way.
They don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Is that he has sucked up to dictators. He has made impulsive decisions that often his own team doesn't understand.
All right, so there's still tickets available. Good, good. Okay, Wayne, I was going to ask if you were when and where you were going to drive down there. You do have because we're looking for a ride. I have somebody that I've talked to, but I don't know her as well. She's saying she would leave Thursday around, I want to say noon. I haven't solidified anything with her.
And went through the
We haven't got a hotel stay, so we were just going to go there, and then about the time Trump's ended speaking on 8:30, come back.
Mayor Buttigieg, like many of your fellow candidates on the stage, you've been calling for an end to endless wars. What's your response on Syria?
And CNN should be allowed.
Dead wrong.
Sure.
The slaughter going on in Syria is not a consequence of American presence. It's a consequence of a withdrawal and a betrayal by this president of American allies.
No, it's a consequence of Islam, you idiots.
I think we need to get
and weapons supplied mainly by China and Russia.
A small number of specialized.
These stupid people, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Every time there's a conflict, somehow it's only America's fault, nobody else.
What we're seeing now, which is the beginning of a genocide.
They've had wars in the Middle East for thousands of years. Why these idiots suddenly think it's Trump's fault?
Ashamed of what their country has done. The spectacle, the horrifying sight of a woman with the lifeless body of her child in her arms asking what the hell happened to American leadership. And when I was deployed, I knew one of the things keeping me safe was the fact that the flag on my shoulder represented a country known to keep its word. And our allies knew it, and our enemies.
Thank you, Mayor.
You take that away, you are taking away what makes America America, and our troops and the world a much more dangerous place.
Congresswoman, you heard your response.
Absolutely. So really what you're saying, Mayor Pete, is that you would continue to support having U.S. troops in Syria for an indefinite period of time to continue this regime change war that has caused the country involved in a war that has undermined our national security. You would continue this policy of the U.S. actually providing arms and support to terrorist groups in Syria, like Al-Qaeda, HTS, al-Nusra, and others, because they are the ones who have been the ground force in this regime change war. That's really what you're saying.
Mayor Pete.
No, you can embrace, or you can put an end to endless war without embracing Donald
Will
Trump's
you end the
policy
regime
as you're
change
doing.
war is the question.
What we are doing.
What is an endless war if it's
Allow
not
him to
yet
respond.
another regime change war?
Please allow him to respond.
What we're doing, or what we were doing in Syria, was keeping our word. Part of what makes it possible for the United States to get people to put their lives on the line to back us up is the idea that we will back them up too.
Well, we're not dealing with people. The problem is we're dealing with crooked governments. And in regards to the Kurds, oftentimes we're dealing with communists and sometimes anti-American groups. A lot of people don't understand that.
Soldier in the eye after what just happened over there. And it is undermining the honor of our soldiers. You take away the honor of our soldiers, you might as well go after their body armor next. This president has betrayed America.
We supplied their body armor.
I will restore U.S. credibility before it is finally too late.
You won't do a damn thing.
Is Turkey still
You do the
a US
same thing
ally?
Obama
Should they
did.
remain in NATO? I'm sorry, is Turkey still a U.S. ally? Should they remain in NATO?
Turkey is not a U.S. ally when they invade another country and engage in mass slaughter. The crisis here, as I think Joe said and Pete said, is when you begin to betray people. In terms of the Kurds, 11,000 of them died fighting ISIS, 20,000 were wounded. And the United States said, we're with you, we're standing with you. And then
You didn't give a damn about the Kurds and Saddam was killing them.
With Erdogan announced by tweet.
You didn't give a damn about Erdogan when he was killing Christians and other political dissidents in Turkey. Two-faced hypocrites. Everything's just about timing with you. And of course the cowards at CNN won't point that out because they didn't care either.
To do military policy because nobody.
Ted Turner's little propaganda pet project
But this is really important because
didn't do a
what this
freaking thing
president
for them.
just shows that American leadership shapes the behavior of our allies, or sometimes allies too. Remember, the problem right now is not just that with our competitors. And for example, a place like China, the people of Hong Kong rise up for democracy and don't get a peep of support from the president. It's not just the behavior of adversaries like Russia. But our
That's not
one-time
true.
allies,
Trump has supported the Hong Kong
which the
dissidents.
CIA just-
Hell, he's done more to fight against China than any president before him.
Dismembering an American resident journalist, and Turkey, which was an American ally. That's the point. We have leverage, but when we abandon the international stage, when we think our only choices are between endless war or total isolation, the consequence is the disappearance of U.S. leadership from the world stage, and that makes this entire world a more dangerous.
Senator Klobuchar, should Turkey remain in NATO?
We need to work with our allies, to work with Turkey and bring them out. This is an outrageous thing that happened here, and I think we need to.
No, the first thing we need to do
not
is
only
get rid of the deep state that's been losing wars since Vietnam. That's the first thing we need to do.
To say it, and what do we do now? We continue that humanitarian aid, but then we work with our allies to say, come back, Turkey, and stop this, because what Mayor Pete is just.
Yeah, they're going to do that.
Think about our other allies.
Continue the aid and say come back.
They feel right
Stupid.
now. Donald Trump is not true to his word when they are a beacon of democracy in the Mideast. Think about our allies in Europe when he.
Notice none of these people care about Israel.
Them holding the bag and gives the power to China and Russia.
Israel's been an ally of ours. They've been a democracy in the Middle East. But they don't care about Israel.
It's not an isolated
Thank you, Senator.
You notice that?
Given that the U.S.
You think CNN's going to ask about supporting Israel the same way we should support the Kurds? Nope.
That's a great question, Anderson, because
Hopefully the power won't run out my phone.
The United States of America has as one of her greatest priorities and responsibilities to concern herself with the security of our nation and homeland. I serve on the Senate Intelligence Committee. I have, over a period of time, received classified information about the threats to our security and hotspots around the world. What has happened in Syria is folks out. And in this case, he sold out the Kurds, who, yes, fought with us and thousands died against ISIS. And let's be clear, what Donald Trump has done because of that phone call with Erdogan is basically giving 10,000 ISIS fighters. And you know who the winner is in this? There are four: Russia, Iran, Assad, and ISIS. This is a crisis of Donald Trump's making, and it is on a long list of crises of Donald Trump's making, and that's why do gotta go. And when I am commander-in-chief, we will stop.
Dude gotta go? Was that an attempt to be gangster?
Well, I mean, you asked the question of how are we going to get people to trust us again? The first thing is we got to boot Donald Trump out of the Oval Office so that people will trust us again. I also want people to think the folks this week that saw those images of ISIS prisoners running free, to think about how absurd it is that this president is caging kids on the border and effectively letting ISIS prisoners run free. He has made a tremendous mistake, a total disaster there in Syria. And just to connect.
So you want open borders now that ISIS prisoners have been freed?
Why in the world would you believe anything that this president said?
Well, then what should we do? Should we shoot the prisoners? Of course, you'd be against that.
Nuclear agreement that we just signed 4 years ago, which was the strongest agreement to contain Iran's nuclear weapons program. And now he's abandoned the very people who we gave our word to. I would make sure that we work with our allies to pressure Syria to stop the aggression. And I support efforts at stronger sanctions than this president has announced.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
Senator Booker, the American intelligence community says that Russia is trying to capitalize on the power vacuums around the world, as we're seeing right now in northern Syria. What specifically would you do?
And by the way, the Muslims are oftentimes using kids to sneak into countries. But he's too stupid to process that. And of course, CNN's too cowardly to ask the question. Hi, Rebecca.
Great generals like Mattis.
I wish I'd have known about this earlier. I would have gotten like a dinner and some, maybe some Yingling beer. But I didn't know about this until the last second. Hey, Tanya.
This president has turned that upside down and now is doing things to undermine.
Let me know if you want to be on camera and give your own comments.
With Russia. And so clearly to your question,
like, share, and comment.
We cannot allow
Just smash that like button a few times. Or the laugh button.
The world stage. We cannot allow Russia to not only interfere in the democracies of Ukraine and Latvia and Lithuania, but even not calling them out for their efforts to interfere in this democracy are unacceptable.
First of all, we're a constitutional republic, but you're too stupid to understand that, Cory Booker.
Time and time again, he's showing moral
Spartacus.
He makes promises to the American people that he's going to protect this nation. Well, instead of doing something to defeat ISIS, he's now given them a foothold again. This is an American president that even right now is lying to the American public and saying he's bringing our troops home. At the same time, he's increasing troop presence with the Saudis, and while they're involved in an unjust war that is killing tens of thousands of children in Yemen. This president is making...
Also, everybody in Yemen's innocent, right?
That he is with Merkel and Macron.
Oh, wait a minute. The only way to support the Kurds would be to bomb enemy positions that also have children. You can't have it both ways.
Doesn't make me any better or worse, but maybe the only person who spent extensive time alone with Putin as well as with Erdogan. And Erdogan understands that. You talk about should he stay in or out of NATO. He understands that he's out of NATO, he's in real trouble. But the fact of the matter is...
He doesn't care about that.
This administration, because we have an
Not in trouble.
crazy president.
He's put down dissidents before, when Obama was president.
For his own reelection. Think what's happened. The fact of the matter
We
is
can't do foreign policy because the deep state has stabbed us in the back to the point we can't win wars that we need to win. I've been doing that since Vietnam. Rules of engagement that don't allow us to defeat our enemies.
But here, look, but here's the deal. Think what that did. He turns around and he questions whether or not he'll keep the sacred commitment of Article 5 for the NATO members. If he is reelected, I promise you, there will be no NATO. Our security will be vastly underrated. We will be in real trouble.
Oh, I'm so glad you're at home and be able to relax
Been the policy to change the
and watch these fools make fun of each other.
The regime did not wipe out hundreds and thousands of innocent people between there and the Iraqi border. And lastly, and I apologize for going out, but lastly, what's happening in Iraq is it's going to be in Afghanistan as well as all the way over to Syria. We have ISIS that's going to come here. They are going to, in fact, damage.
These idiots, Muslims have been fighting in the Middle East for hundreds of years.
The whole area to Assad and to the Russians.
Centuries. And the Middle East has been at war for thousands of years, but Muslims in particular, because they're basically a pedophile, murderous death cult, have been at war, in constant war, for centuries. And these idiots are acting like Trump came by and made everything worse.
Would you take either of those actions, even in the face of...
No, frozen bank accounts, kind of like Burisma's bank accounts.
We must be unafraid in ensuring that we hold Russia accountable for invading the world's greatest democracy. And being able to do it, thanks to Donald Trump, functionally with impunity so far, so much so that they are invading
Based on what?
right now, as we speak, still at the invitation of this president. So if there are not consequences, we will continue to see this problem.
They are still pushing the
to answer the previous
Russian
question,
dossier
stand
lie.
up to Russia on the global stage. We do that by renewing our alliances and our friendships. That is what makes America stronger. There isn't enough money in this country. There are enough service members.
Yeah, I actually tried to, Rebecca, I tried to do this with my laptop, and for some reason Facebook wouldn't let me live stream, but YouTube has. And I got a few people on YouTube.
In Syria, help to defeat ISIS, not just for themselves, but for the United States of America. It makes it more likely that we will have to send another generation of service members to fight those battles there. And then lastly, as General Mattis, who was invoked earlier, has said, we have two powers, one of intimidation and one of inspiration. We need to now focus on that latter power and make sure that we invest in diplomacy, in our State Department, and peacefully and nonviolently resolving our...
So yeah, DMH, you're right. There's only two people here, but that's okay. Facebook and YouTube have both been shadow banning me. So of course, when you're a supporter of this and quite frankly other things.
Would you probably reveal what the U.S. knows about Putin's corruption or work to freeze his bank accounts? Please.
That's just what they do, and so I need to remake a lot of my YouTube and Facebook accounts as well as a GoFundMe. I just haven't sat around to do that. I may try to do that Thursday as I go to the Trump event.
Disaster in Syria. It's proved to be a disaster in terms of response to Russia's attacking our democracy.
I'm going to call a guy in a little bit
When we look at the problems around the world,
and chat with him about going to there. Hey, Patricia.
Support of our traditional allies makes absolutely
Y'all continue to like, share, and comment.
The most important international problem that we're facing, which no one has brought up, which is climate. We can't solve
here we go.
in the United States by ourselves. It's an international crisis. I've been working on it.
Yeah, we'll go bomb China and Russia like the crazy eat babies lady said.
With our allies and our frenemies around the world.
Frenemies.
Look at what Mr. Trump is doing. Of course, he's been bought by the oil and gas companies. But any problem that we're going to do, but specifically climate.
Really? Give an example. How much? Name the companies. Name the dollar and name the amount. And name the company. Did Exxon give him $500,000?
Idea I've ever heard, and I would change it.
And if they have they done the same thing to your party?
Mr. Yang, your response
Assholes.
to Putin and Russia.
I'm sick of this. They did it. The companies, the corporations. No, be specific.
So we voted in Donald Trump, and he's now led us down this dangerous path with erratic and unreliable foreign policy. We have to let Russia know, look, we get it. We've tampered with other elections. You've tampered with our elections, and now it has to stop. And if it does not stop, we will take this as an act of hostility against the American people.
They tampered in your favor when a Democrat was president at the time.
Illustration of the 21st century threats: artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, climate change, loose nuclear material, military drones, and non-state actors. These are the threats that are going to require our administration to catch up in terms of technology. We all know we are decades behind the curve on technology. We saw when Mark Zuckerberg testified at Congress the nature of the questioning. As Commander-in-Chief, I will help pull us forward.
Thank you.
Mark,
And that's
I
what will
want
be
to
the
respond.
responsibility of the
Thank you,
next
Mr.
president.
Thank
I
you,
want to
Mr. Yang.
respond to Mr. Yang. I don't see a moral equivalency between our country and Russia. Vladimir Putin is someone who has shot down planes over Ukraine, who has poisoned his opponent, and we have not talked about what we need to do to protect ourselves from Russia invading our election.
Well, I'll say this, David. I'm responding to a YouTube comment. I like Yang more than some of the others.
This was much more serious.
I like some of the things Yang stands for.
Our election. So to protect
I like a few of the things that Tulsi stands for. I don't know what parts that you don't like about Trump.
We need to stop Mitch McConnell.
I guarantee you, whatever things that
we need to stop the social media companies.
good luck on jobs.
Paid political ads.
I don't want. I wish a president would come and say, "My plan for jobs is to get rid of get government out of the way and let companies do their own jobs." I don't like it when people say, "Here's my job plan." That's not what you're supposed to do. The main job of the federal government is to stop countries, armies, and invaders from destroying this country, so that the nation can companies can set up on their own without having to worry to being attacked either physically or financially from an organization that they can't deal with.
But when you were asked how you'd enforce a mandatory buyback, you said police wouldn't be going door to door. So how exactly are you going to force people to give up their weapons? You don't even know who has those weapons.
Look, we're going to make sure that the priority is saving the lives of our fellow Americans.
Not answering the question.
Everyone on this stage agrees that it's not right, and as president would seek to ban the sale of AR-15s and AK-47s. Those are weapons of war. They were designed to kill people effectively, efficiently on a battlefield. You mentioned the massacre in Dayton, 9 people killed in under 40 seconds. In El Paso, Texas, 22 were killed in under 3 minutes.
They couldn't shoot back because of policies by you.
So if the logic
And they were people that shouldn't have been out in the public in the first place.
to sell, then it must continue by acknowledging with 16 million AR-15s and AK-47s out there, they're also too dangerous to own. Every single one of them is a potential instrument of terror. Just ask Hispanics
Hold on a second.
in Texas. Univision surveyed them. More than 80% feared that they would be a victim of a mass terror attack.
Univision? Oh, wow.
That was targeted at Mexican Americans and immigrants, inspired in part by this president's racism and hatred that he's directed at.
Wow, how many of them hate their own government?
So I expect my fellow Americans to follow the law the same way that we
Oh,
enforce
let me go get something.
any law that we have.
Oh, hold on.
Door to door to do anything in this country to enforce the law. I expect Republicans, Democrats, gun owners, non-gun owners alike to
Congressman, let me
respect and
follow up.
follow the law.
Just to follow up, your
So,
expectations aside,
He's just going to hope that you turn in your AR-15s. I'm going to write on a piece of paper, and you're going to you're just going to.
that doesn't take those weapons off the street. So to be clear, exactly how are you going to take away weapons from people who do not want to give them up and you don't know where they are?
If someone does not turn in an AR-15 or an AK-47, one of these weapons of war, or brings it out in public and brandishes it in an attempt to intimidate, as we saw when we were at Kent State recently, then that weapon will be taken from them. If they persist, there will be other consequences from law enforcement. But the expectation is that Americans will follow the law. I believe in this country. I believe in my fellow Americans. I believe that they will do the right thing.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor Buttigieg, just yesterday you referred to mandatory buybacks as confiscation and said that Congressman O'Rourke has been picking a fight to try to stay relevant. Your response on that?
Well, Congressman, you just made it clear that you don't know how this is actually going to take weapons off the streets. If you can develop the plan further, I think we can have a debate about it, but we can't wait. People are dying in the streets right now. We can't wait for universal background checks that we finally have a shot to actually get through. We can't wait to ban the sale of new weapons and high-capacity magazines so we don't wind up with millions more of these things on the street. We can't wait for red flag laws that are going to disarm domestic abusers and prevent suicides, which are not being talked about nearly enough as a huge part of the gun violence epidemic in this country. We cannot wait for purity tests. We have to just get something done.
This is not a purity test. This is a country that loses 40,000 of our fellow Americans every year to gun violence. This is a crisis, and we've got to do something about it. And those challenges that you described are not mutually exclusive to the challenges that I'm describing. I want to make sure we have universal background checks and red flag laws, and that we end the sale of these weapons of war. But to use the analogy of healthcare, it would be as though we said, look, we're for primary care, but let's not talk about mental health care because that's a bridge too far. People need that primary care now, so let's save that for another day. No, let's decide what we are going to believe in, what we are going to achieve.
Oops.
And let's bring this country together.
Sorry, thought I'd set this up. As I said before.
To demand action, to those students who march for our lives, who in fact came up with this extraordinary, bold peace plan that calls for mandatory buybacks. Let's follow their.
Oh, they came up with that plan, did they? Shut up. Shut up. Everytown USA didn't come up with their stupid plan. Moms demand and students demand don't write the stupid laws. That's a load of crap.
Everyone on this stage recognizes, or at least I thought we did, that the problem is not other Democrats who don't agree with your particular idea of how to handle this. The problem is the National Rifle Association and their enablers in Congress, and we should be united in taking the fight to that.
That's a mischaracterization, Anderson. I've got to answer this. Never took you or anyone else on who disagrees with me on this issue. But when you, Mayor Buttigieg, describe this policy as
AR-15, do you have any comments about being taken away?
To me or my candidacy, but to those who have survived gun violence, those who lost a loved one to an AR-15 and AK-47.
Lost to an AR-15.
Formed in the courage of students willing to stand up to the NRA and conventional politics and poll-tested politicians. That was a slap in the face to every single one of those groups and every single survivor of a mass casualty assault with an AR-15 and an AK-47.
Mass casualty assault.
Those survivors is to actually deliver a solution. I'm glad you offered up that analogy to healthcare because this is really important. We are at the cusp of building a new American majority to actually do things that congressmen and senators have been talking about with almost no impact for my entire adult life. This is really important, okay? On guns, we are this close to an assault weapons ban. That would be huge. And we're going to get wrapped around the axle in a debate over whether it's hell yes, we're going to take your guns. We have an opportunity to deliver healthcare to everybody. And some of the stage are saying it doesn't count.
Senator, I want to give other candidates a chance. Senator Booker, what's your response to Mayor Buttigieg?
Well, look, I again worry about how we talk to each other and about each other, and what this last week has shown. This young man in my neighborhood, I watched him grow up. I lived in some high-rise projects with him named Shahad, and he was murdered on my block last year with an assault rifle. I'm living with a sense of urgency on this problem.
With an assault rifle or by an assault rifle?
Like millions of Americans, we live in.
Did the assault rifle murder him or did
real every single day.
I mean,
And I know
that's
with
stupid.
Republicans, This
Stupid.
is not about leadership. This is why when I talk about things like gun licensing and point out the
Did the assault rifle float around like this and then shoot him? No.
It's frustrating that when the American people, 77%.
Hey, who is the person who used the assault rifle?
Right now,
Should they not have been out in public? Was it over drugs that came across the Mexican border? Most likely.
Where we're surrendering our
This is a
freedom
tool.
to fear in this country. This is the first time in American history. This fall,
The keys to my car are also a tool.
the strongest nation on the planet Earth, and says that we can't protect you.
I can run you over with this just as much as I can kill you with this.
And shelter-in-place drills in America now.
I can go to the gas station, get some gasoline, and use them and make bombs. And by the way, a lot of the mass shooters make homemade bombs, but you don't ever hear about that. Most of the mass shooters are Democrats, but you don't ever hear about that. People are stupid. And there's millions of people that believe this crap. And is Andrew Zucker going to talk about how these gun compensation, A, does not decrease violence, and B, enslaves people? Nope, they're not going to talk about that.
From that shooting, 30 seconds, 9 people killed. The public is with us on this in a big way. The majority
they're not.
of Trump voters want to see universal background checks right now. The majority of hunters want to see us.
That's an
move
absolute
forward
lie.
with Ben
Not when they're
Sanders.
told what universal
There
background
are
checks
three bills
actually
right now on
are.
Mitch McConnell's desk. The background check bill. My bill to close the boyfriend loophole so domestic abusers don't get guns.
That doesn't stop domestic abusers from getting guns. Domestic abusers are going to get guns, just like criminals always get guns.
And I just don't want to screw this up. When I'm president, I do want to bring in an assault weapon ban. And I do want to put a limitation on magazines, so what happened in Dayton, Ohio will never happen again. But let's not mess this up.
You see how stupid magazine limits are? Here, I'll show you. Watch, see? Here's the magazine.
Weapons as well. Why not a mandatory one?
I take out the magazine. I'm gonna go pick up another magazine.
Done. I want to use the method we.
That's
did
it,
for
and then I'll have to do this
single
chamber, which I'm not gonna do.
We registered them, we put in a huge penalty if you didn't register them, and a huge.
This is it, a
tax
few
on and
seconds.
Let people turn them in.
Here, I'll even sit around here. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi. I'm taking a lot longer. 6 Mississippi. I deliberately wasted time.
It's what happens in neighborhoods all across the
It's a
country.
few
It is
seconds.
about suicide. It is about.
See, if you ban a 20 round magazine, all I gotta do is buy 2 10-round magazines.
2 things or 3 things, and then we're done.
Stupid.
We
These
have
people
to
are so
reduce gun
stupid.
Violence overall, and the question we have to ask.
But will
is
CNN talk
why
about that? Will they
hasn't
go up and say,
happened?
you know, you're only delaying a shooter by a few seconds? Nope.
I stood in the United States Senate in 2013 when 54 senators voted in favor of gun legislation, and it didn't pass because of the filibuster. So we've got to attack the corruption and repeal the filibuster, or the gun industry will always have a veto over what happens.
Senator Harris, you disagree with Senator Warren. You think the buyback should be mandatory?
Change the rules.
5 million assault weapons are on the streets of America today.
They're on the
During the
streets.
course of this debate,
Actually, most of them are in people's homes.
from gun violence.
Most of them are probably in either safes or.
Young black men in America is gun violence more than the top other 6 reasons told. This is a serious matter.
No such thing as gun violence. It's a made up stupid word.
Mothers of homicide victims, and I care to tell you. I have looked at more autopsy photographs than I care to tell you. I have attended more police officer funerals than I care to tell you.
Most of it's over the narcotics that come across the open border.
And Congress has had years to
Stupid
act
ass.
and failed because they do not have the courage. When I'm elected, I'll give them 100 days to pull their act together, put a bill on my desk for signature, and if they don't, I will take executive action and put in
Good
place
for you, Georgia
a
Hope.
comprehensive background check requirement and ban the importation of assault weapons into our country, because it is time to act.
Senator Biden, Vice President Biden, your response.
I'm the only one in this state who has taken on the NRA and beat them twice. We were able to get assault weapons off the streets and not be able to be sold for 10 years. Recent studies show that mass violence went down when that occurred.
A study from where?
Those guns,
Cite your source.
AR-15s and assault
You can't
weapons
just say that
on the
stupid
street
thing.
Are not that people own. Is to do what we did with the National Firearms Act as related to machine guns. You must register that weapon. You must register it. When you register it, the likelihood of it being used diminishes exponentially. I'm the only one that got moved to make sure that we could not have a magazine that had more than 10 rounds in it. I've done this. I know how to get it done. If you really want to get it done, go after the gun manufacturers and take back the exemption they have of not being able to be sued.
Thank you, Mr.
That'll
Vice
change.
President. Secretary Castro, the vast majority of homicides committed with a gun in this country are from handguns, not assault-style weapons. What's your plan to prevent those deaths?
Assault-style weapons.
Thank you very much for the question. You know, I grew up in neighborhoods where it wasn't uncommon to hear gunshots at night, and I can remember ducking into the backseat of a car when I was a freshman in high school, across the street from my school, my public school, because folks were shooting at each other. You know, in the neighborhoods, let me answer this question about.
Wanda, all of them are grandstanding about seeing all I can stand. That's why I had to focus on me and not them. Plus, I'd probably get banned if I did focus on them.
But also, in the places that I grew up in, we weren't exactly looking for another reason for cops to come banging on the door. And y'all saw a couple of days ago what happened to Tatiana Jefferson in Fort Worth. A cop showed up at 2 a.m. at her house when she was playing video games with her nephew. He didn't even announce himself, and within 4 seconds, he shot her and killed her through her home window. She was in her own home. And so I am not going to give these police officers another reason to go door to door in certain communities, because police violence is also gun violence, and we need to address that.
Police violence is also gun violence.
Turning to another key issue here in Ohio and around the country, the opioid epidemic. Senator Klobuchar,
Also started by the government.
Ohio Democratic voters for their most pressing questions. Bree,
They deliberately allowed tons of opioid prescriptions to be done, knowing full well what would happen.
The opioid epidemic has affected our communities and schools. I have many high school students who have lost one or both parents to heroin. Teachers are on the front lines daily witnessing these tragedies. How will you tackle this problem in general, but specifically, what will you offer people in rural communities where
Reggie Cowan started his own live stream.
Access to jobs is difficult?
Well, I want to thank her for this question. This is something that should never have happened to begin with. I remember when I was a prosecutor, these were not the kind of cases that were coming in our door, and it's gotten worse and worse, and we now know why. As the evidence is coming out of those lawsuits, probably one of the most horrible things that I saw was the email from one of the pharma executives that actually said, keep pumping them out. They're eating them like Doritos. So
What's his name? Damn it, I'm tired of this crap.
Is that the people
Name of the company, name of the executive. How the hell are we supposed to care or even believe you if you're never going to name them?
And that is the people that are manufacturing.
Petrobras, the company in Mexico,
And you can, with the
lost over $1 billion in 2016. Now you have a name.
To help rural areas.
Hunter Biden took millions of dollars from a corrupt company called Burisma. And when the Ukrainian government tried to investigate it, Vice President Joe Biden threatened to cut $1 billion in aid. Now you have names. Be specific. On stuff like that, these assholes are not specific.
He picked treatment and he was pursued.
Democrats, specifically under Andrew Jackson, screwed over Native Americans with Manifest
He
Destiny.
said to me last year, it's hard to get a drink around here.
The Trail of Tears, that was done by Democrat soldiers in blue coats. People wept as they saw, the real Americans wept as the Indians were being mistreated. That's it. That's where they got the name, the Trail of Tears.
Thank you, Senator. Mr. Steyer, how would
Robert McNamara.
epidemic that exists here in Ohio and around the country?
Was the Secretary of State during the Vietnam War.
Experiences that have
Head of the State Department. Those officials lost that war.
Opioid overdoses last year, and that's not only.
But you're too much of a coward to name the companies.
And so I think we have to treat this as a health crisis. We have to move the resources and the support there to try and help people.
Name the crony capitalist and the government officials that made it happen.
President is that we have a broken government.
Name the FDA officials that let it happen. Name the officials that were supposed to monitor the number of prescriptions. And then you jail them. And you fine them.
The government and getting what they want.
But they don't want to do that because that would actually hold most of them accountable.
To break the corporate stranglehold on our government, I've put forward actual structural changes, including term limits, a national referendum, the end to the idea that corporations are people and have the rights.
I won't solve it. They won't care. They'll rename themselves.
These corporations.
They'll call themselves a nonprofit.
And 72,000 deaths that year.
You don't enforce the rules now, so why should we give a damn what other rules you're going to enforce? Assholes.
Small amounts of opioids, including heroin. How would that solve the crisis?
That's exactly right. And we have to recognize this is a disease of capitalism run amok. There was a point when there were more opiate prescriptions in the state of Ohio than human beings in the state of Ohio.
I think we had something similar.
The federal government thought that was appropriate.
Yeah. There's a Trump supporter.
Until you realize that company made $30 billion.
Oh, Sabine. Is that Sabine herself? Sabine Durden has a photo of her
So if the government turned the
at the Trump rally with a Trump 2020 sign.
Then the least we can do is put
Oh my goodness. Let me see if I can share this link. Hold on.
to get well. Even though this is not a money problem, we all know this is a human problem. And part of helping people get the treatment that they need is to let them know that they're not going to be referred to a prison cell. They will be referred to treatment and counseling. I talked to an EMT in New Hampshire, and he said he saves the same addicts over and over again. Because the fact is, after you save someone who's ODing, you just
let me see if that. I can't tell if that's actually her or not. Yeah, I think that's her. Oh, let me post this.
It's not a personal failing. This was a systemic government failing. And then we need to open up safe consumption and safe injection sites around the country because they save lives.
Thank you, Mr. Yang. Congressman O'Rourke, is decriminalizing opioids part of the solution? Please.
Ah, shit.
It is, for many of the reasons that Mr. Yang just described. And also just from some personal experiences I've had as a member of Congress where constituents of mine have come forward, in some cases publicly, at a town hall meeting to describe their addictions. I remember a veteran telling me that he bought heroin off the street because he was originally prescribed an opioid at the VA. Now imagine that veteran, instead of being prescribed an opioid, had been prescribed marijuana because we made that legal in America, ensured the VA could prescribe it, expunged the arrest records for those who have been arrested for possession, and made sure that he was not prescribed something to which he would become addicted. I also want to agree with Senator Klobuchar. Until we hold those responsible accountable for their actions, Purdue Pharma, Johnson & Johnson, we're going to continue to have this problem going on again. So that veteran that I met, and anyone with drug addiction today, is not a problem for the criminal justice system. They're an opportunity
Thank you,
for our public
Congressman.
health system.
Senator Harris, you want to hold the drug manufacturers that fueled the crisis accountable. Are you in favor of sending those drug company executives to jail?
I am. And I will tell you, as a former prosecutor, I do think of this as being a matter of justice and accountability, because they are nothing more than some high-level dope dealers. They have been engaged.
What's up, folks? Facebook just jammed me, so here's the new link.
Pharmaceutical companies when I was Attorney General of California and led the second largest Department of Justice. I've seen what they do. The biggest pharmaceutical companies, the 8 biggest pharmaceutical companies and insurance companies last year profited $72 billion on the backs of people like the families that we are talking about that have been overwhelmed
With your help.
by this crisis, which is a public health epidemic. And they
And who's in charge of most of the departments that are designed to keep this from happening? Democrats. The FDA, the FCC, which controls ads on things like drugs.
They were profiting and making big bucks. And yes, they should be held accountable. This is a matter of justice. And so
The Commerce Department, the Department of the Interior,
that the United States Department of Justice,
DHS on federal level and state level.
let's end mass incarceration.
Those are
And
mostly done by Democrats. Same assholes who started the crack epidemic in the 90s. Democrats and some Republicans.
Castro, are you in favor of sending those drug companies?
And the only person who's currently fought against them, at least on some level, is Donald Trump.
Also, criminal penalties. And, you can draw a straight line between making sure that we hold executives accountable, whether it's these drug manufacturers or Wall Street executives.
Hey, Alan, you missed it. It's on a new stream. Hold on. Let me see if I can get it for you.
Of candidates and their health. Senator Sanders, I want to start with you. We're moving on, Senator, I'm sorry.
I'm feeling great, but I would like to respond to that.
I want to start.
Candidates and their health. This is a get rid of Bernie Sanders. Stupid.
Medical marijuana. I want to make sure that's clear as well.
Senator Sanders, this debate, sir, does mark your return to the campaign trail. Okay, go ahead and finish your point, and then I'll ask my question, Senator.
I'm more than happy to answer your question, but I wanted to pick up on what Kamala and Corey and others have said.
He's already answered it. I don't know if it's correct, but he's already answered it. He says he's healthy.
The executives, CEOs of major pharmaceutical companies.
The companies, the corporations are evil.
And in this particular case,
One for corporations, you be dead.
They knew that they were selling a product to communities all over this
If
country.
it wasn't for corporations, you would be dead.
And last year, the top 10 drug companies made $69 billion in profit. This is what unfettered capitalism is doing in
Nope,
this country.
it's not capitalism, and you're a liar for saying that's capitalism.
Right now, the CEOs in the fossil fuel industry know full well that their product is destroying this world, and they continue to make huge profits. That is why we need a political.
Okay, I'm putting the link to the new stream on the old stream here.
Senator, we are all very glad.
Let me see if my YouTube also crashed. YouTube is still up. So, hey Tina, hey Henry.
You're 78 years old and you just had a heart attack.
How do you reassure Democratic voters that you're up to the stress of the presidency?
Well, let me invite you all to a major rally we're having in Queens, New York, BernieSanders.com. We're going to have a special guest at that event.
Link to share
And
with
we're gonna be
others.
mounting a vigorous
And you can
campaign
share this link via text.
all over this country.
You can shorten the Facebook name and share it on your own Facebook page. You can also put it on Twitter, Facebook.
So many people from all over this country, including many of my colleagues.
That's why you watch me. I put the camera on me.
Prayers for their well-
And I have my own comments. Prayers to what? You don't believe in God.
And I'm so happy to be back here with you this evening.
If one for corporations, you'd be dead. And if one for God, you wouldn't exist.
Vice President Biden,
You don't get to,
if you're elected,
like a
you will
coward,
lead during your first
you benefit from them without giving them either of them girl credit.
Carter said he could not have undertaken the duties of the presidency at
Hey,
18
Tina.
years old. Why are you so sure that you can?
Because I've watched it, I know what the job is, I've been engaged. Look, one of the reasons I'm running is because of my age and my experience.
You need yeah. It's the worst of two worlds.
Someone to take office this time around.
You don't need the heart of Bernie Sanders or the mind of Joe Biden. Both of them are messed up.
Respect the world leaders from Putin to our allies and know exactly what has to be done to get this country back on track. It is required now more than any time in any of our lifetimes to have someone who has that capacity on day one. That's one of the reasons
Pretty
why
much.
I decided to run. Why I decided to run this time because I know what has to be done. I've done it before. I've been there when we pulled the nation out of the worst financial recession in history. I've been there and I've got so many pieces.
Red states pulled this nation out of the recession.
The CARE Act, as well as making sure that we had the Recovery Act, which kept us from going into depression. I know what has to be done. I will not need any on-the-job training the day I take office.
You need on-the-job training to get out of bed.
Records, as I have 21 years of my tax record, which no one else on this stage has done, so that you can have full transparency as to my health and what I am doing.
Just to be clear, Mr. Vice President, when will you release those records?
Before the first vote,
Before Iowa,
yes.
not by the end of this year.
Well, before Iowa, I mean, look, I've released them before. I mean, I released 55 pages of mine. I'm the only guy that's released anything up here.
Senator Warren, like Senator
How about your deal with Hunter Biden? How about the transcript where you threatened to cut Ukraine? I mean, we already have it on video, but
inaugurated in a first term. You'll be 71. 40% of Democratic primary voters say they think a candidate under the age of 70 is more likely to defeat President Trump. What do you say to them?
Well, I say I will out-organize.
well, she's only 50 in Indian years, so
And that includes Donald Trump.
yeah, you're right. You do have a point.
The way
I thought I would get my camcorder, but I just don't feel like it right now.
is by
I've been
addressing the
camcordered
wrong
out
that
for
millions of Americans
a
know
while.
in their bones. And that is that the wealthy and the well-connected have captured our democracy. And they're making
We're a constitutional republic. We're not a democracy. It's a stupid term.
behind. And political pundits and Washington insiders and people in our own party don't want to admit that.
Whoa!
Running some kind of vague campaign that nibbles around the edges of big problems in this country is a winning strategy. They are wrong. If all Democrats can promise is after Donald Trump, it will be business as usual, then we will lose. Democrats win when we call out what's broken. And
You win when you defraud
Democrats
the
will win when
people.
we fight for the things that touch people's lives. Things like child care and health care and housing costs.
You don't care about those things. You just want them as excuses to get more government money.
Thank you, Senator Warren. Congresswoman Gabbard, you're 38 years old, and you would be the youngest president if elected. Should age matter when choosing a president?
I'm glad you asked, because I was going to say it's not fair to ask these three about their health and their fitness to serve as president, but not every other one of us. I am grateful to have been trained very well by the Army and do my best to stay in shape. But here's the real question I believe you should be asking. It's who is fit to serve as our commander-in-chief? This is the most important responsibility that the president has. What Donald Trump has been doing in Syria and what we have just seen with him inviting the Turkey to come in and slaughter the Kurds show what an unfit president looks like. It highlights how
Uh-oh.
critical it is that we have a president
Battery's gone low.
who's ready on day one. Bring
And unfortunately, I
experience
don't think
and
that Facebook is
understanding
ever
of
going to let
foreign
my
policy
computer
and national security.
do live streaming for some reason. It
Experience that I
keeps
have.
jamming it.
Both
It lets me do it on
serving
YouTube, but it won't let me do it on
7
Facebook.
years.
I have no idea
Serving on
why.
the Foreign Affairs Committee, serving on the Armed Services Committee, subcommittees related to terrorism and upcoming threats, serving on the Homeland
Should
Security.
age matter when
Experience
choosing
that
a
I have as
president?
soldier, serving for over 16 years.
Why
in
don't
the
you
Army
ask them what they've
National
actually
Guard,
done
20
that's
flights
mattered?
to the Middle East. being
And has
able
it
to
worked?
Serve in different capacities, joint training exercises, training the Kuwait National Guard. I understand the importance of our national security. I am prepared to do this job, to fulfill this responsibility as
Thank you,
Commander-in-Chief
Congresswoman.
on day one. I'd like to ask our other candidates this question. I'd like to start with Senator Warren. What her
Congresswoman, I'm
experience
sorry.
and background is.
I'm sorry, thank
to
you.
serve
We're
as
gonna take another
Commander-in-Chief.
break now. The CNN New York Times debate live from Otterbein University here in Ohio. We'll be back.
Oh, I like what she's doing with CNN. Okay, well, I haven't gotten the instructions yet from Jeff Zucker on how to spend this to benefit the Democrats. So,
Where everything fades. As the car speeds up, everything else slows down. And then you see everything.
and I am running out of power. I may about 20, 30 minutes just end this. I mean, it really doesn't matter. I'm not going to I don't think I'm going to wait to the end for this. Matter of fact, come to think of it, I think I may listen to one little thing and then pack up. I actually got to do an errand.
Who are you? Rated PG-13.
Maria Ramirez?
Okay, that's Ford versus Ferrari. It's a movie about these two car companies, I guess.
Mom! Maria!
Maria Ramirez.
McDonald's is committing $150 million in tuition assistance, education, and career advising programs
Maria Ramirez.
to help more employees achieve their dreams.
The economy is not working for everybody, especially those in jobs where unscrupulous businesses keep wages.
Wow, she got a degree.
Millions of illegal workers. Those businesses could use the government's E-Verify system to
Oh, wait.
prevent illegal hiring, but they refuse. What's best for the country? Let businesses continue to hire illegal workers, or require E-Verify, raise wages, and recruit left-behind Americans? See what voters want at everifyworks.com. Paid for by Numbers USA, because numbers count. Let me ask you a question.
I do have mixed emotions on E-Verify. I think they should be required to use a verification system and then jail the people that actually failed to I mean, after you hire a certain number of illegals, it should be blatantly obvious that you just don't give a damn.
I would like us to be more than the country that did the report. I'd like us to be the country that made it public. We will not allow this to be covered up.
The report, Radar.
I don't know what that's about.
These are the first responders who put out the fire. Because this expertly trained professional called them.
There's a dog in the house.
After this rigorously tested device raised the alarm. Because Samantha's BFF Bruno set it off. After this technician installed smart devices that make sense. So smart security and smart professionals could work together to help this puppy grow up safe. ADT, we are what we protect.
Is that why you think you do it? For the money. It's the game. It's the adrenaline rush.
Actually, I don't know me.
And the tickety-boo.
Becoming a very good liar.
A good liar. Radar.
It looks like Gandalf and Helen Mirren are going to try to murder people.
Bring this guy to justice. Lawful for a Bosnian war criminal. Sunday night at 9. Attention travelers. Next Tuesday.
Oh, man. Bosnia, remember that? Yeah, Bosnia, that's one of those screw-ups that Bill Clinton likes to take credit for. That's the one where Hillary Clinton said she was under sniper fire. Hold on just a second.
You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency.
It's a bunch of stupid commercials.
I'm here to save you. I'm here to save you.
Uh-oh.
I'm here to save you.
Hold on a second. I think I got a little technical difficulty here.
From reliving my glory days?
No, lung cancer.
Let me refresh.
May still be at
right
high risk.
I'm okay.
I can never get my. Sorry, folks. Hey, Cheryl. Hey, Jim. Okay, it's back.
Welcome back to the CNN New York Times Democratic presidential debate. Mark Lacey.
It's not really a debate. It's just a bunch of morons doing stuff. But
Let's turn to the growing concerns over the power of big tech companies. Mr. Yang, Senator Warren is calling for companies like Facebook, Amazon, and Google to be broken up. Is she right?
yeah, you're right. But also the real tragedy in that whole thing was that a massacre was allowed to happen under when Bill Clinton was running the place. That was under Clinton administration. Again, Democrats let massacres happen. They just try to market themselves as better than more.
Sorry, Microsoft, it's true. So it's not like breaking up these big tech companies will revive Main Street businesses around the country. And as the parent of 2 young children, I'm particularly concerned about screen use, and it's that we're seeing record levels of anxiety and depression coincident with smartphone adoption and social media use. Breaking up the tech companies does nothing to make our kids healthier.
Oh, you got rid of morality and you
21st century solutions for 21st century problems. Using a 20th century anti.
Well, Biden hasn't broken out a pool chain yet.
A new toolkit.
Thank you, Senator Warren. Is Mr. Yang wrong? Your response.
I'm not willing to give up and let a handful of monopolists dominate our economy and our democracy. It's time to fight back. Think about it this way.
You know what the hell you're talking about.
How it works in competition. About 8%, 9% of all retail sales happen in bricks and sticks stores, happen at Walmart. About 49% of all sales online happen in one place, that's Amazon. It collects information from every little business. And then Amazon does something.
No, well, I think they did at the beginning, Paula, and they allowed him to just cheap shot and say nothing happened. And that was it.
Look, you get to be the umpire.
Yeah, Joe Biden basically said, I had no conversations with Hunter.
Get to do both at the same time.
He admitted what he did was wrong. That was it. Yeah, that was pretty much the supposed scrutiny on Hunter Biden, Ukraine. In other words, nothing.
Mr. Steyer, your response.
That's it. And it's a cowardly thing that Democrats always get to do. They get asked one question on something controversial, they can say anything, and there's no follow-up, and that's it.
But we have to understand that
It's
Mr. Trump
cowardice.
is going to be running on the economy. He's going to be saying he's the person who can make it grow. I started a business from scratch, one room, no employers, and built a multi-billion-dollar international business. We're going to have to show the American people that we don't just know how to tax and have programs to break up companies, but also talk about prosperity. Talk about investing in the American people.
Yeah, you're right, Paula. It's cowardice on his part and the part of CNN.
Private sector.
And I'm sure if you go to Project Veritas, you can see the footage of them, of the instructions given them by Lord Zucker.
And a fraud and a failure as a steward of the American economy is going to be necessary. He is one. His tax plan's a failure. His trade war is a failure. I would love to take him on as a real businessman and show that, in fact, he's failed the American people and he has to go.
Thank you, Mr. Steyer.
I would be curious to see how much this guy's business is, because usually when there's a liberal Democrat, when there's a liberal successful business owner, it's because somewhere along the line they got some crony capitalist deal. That's just the
not just in terms of anti-competitive practices, but also to undermine our democracy. We have seen in the 16 election practices being used that have not been corrected now. We need regulation and reform and antitrust. I mean, Robert Bork right now is laughing in his sleep. We have a reality in this country where antitrust from pharma to farms is causing trouble. And we have to deal with this. As President of the United States, I will put people in place that enforce antitrust.
I'm having to hold this up because it's running out of power.
Going back to the fact that it's rich to me that we asked 3 people about their health. When looking at this stage, we know that the most unhealthy person running for the presidency in 2020 is Donald Trump.
Thank you,
What are
Senator.
you talking about? He's in physical health.
It's appropriate for a president to designate which companies should be broken up. So what's the proper level of oversight here?
Yeah, we need to set very tough, very clear, transparent rules of the road, the kind of rules that we do not have today that allow these social media platforms where we, the people, have become the product to abuse that public trust and to do so at extraordinary profits. Right now, we treat them functionally as a utility, when in reality, they're more akin to a publisher. They curate the content that we see, our pictures and personal information that they share.
And they've been benefiting you. What are you complaining about?
To do what Facebook is doing, to publish that ad that Senator Warren has rightfully called out, that CNN has refused to air because it is untrue and tells lies about the vice president. Treat them like the publisher that they are. That's what I will do as president. And we will be unafraid to break up big businesses if we have to do that. But I don't think it is the role of a president or a candidate for the presidency to specifically call out which companies will be broken up. That's something that Donald Trump has done, in part because he sees enemies in the press and wants to diminish their power.
There are enemies in the press.
Tough rules of the road, protect your personal information, privacy, and data, and be fearless in the face of these tech giants.
Senator Sanders, your response.
When we talk about a rigged economy, it's not just the grotesque.
Okay, I posted a link to Sabine Durden, who put a picture of her. Oh crap! What the hell?
Whether it is Wall Street, where you have 6 banks that have assets.
What the hell just happened?
To half of the GDP of the United States. Whether it is Medium, where you have 10 media.
Sorry, just bounced off for some reason.
90% of what the American people see, hear, or read. Whether it is agribusiness, where we see merger after merger, which is resulting in the decline of family-based farming in this country.
So I posted a link to Sabine Durden's picture of where she waves her Trump 2020 flag.
Huge monopolies.
Should be on there. I don't know why it isn't.
And protect consumers by ending the price fixing.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Senator. Senator Harris, to you, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg says that splitting up big tech companies will make election interference more likely because the companies won't be able to work together to fight it. Could breaking up these companies make the spread of disinformation worse?
No, I don't agree with that at all. And serving on Senate Intelligence Committee, working with Amy Klobuchar on what we need to do to upgrade the elections infrastructure, knowing that Russia needs to be held accountable for the fact that they interfered in the election of the President of the United States, and it will attempt to do it
It's
again.
asking me to bring Daniel on
That's
camera,
a ridiculous
so
argument he's making. But I do want to also say this. What we're talking about is a
big
great
green
thing
line
about
down the side of your screen. I don't see anything on my end.
Equally to all, and in particular,
So,
rules that apply to the powerless don't apply to the powerful. And so,
Oh, it's going great, going right. I'm listening to Kamala talk about
that on this subject
big
what
tech
the
companies.
rules around corporate responsibility for these big tech companies.
Of course, she won't mention the fact that most of the big tech companies are pro-Democrat and they've silenced conservatives, but
And I would urge you to join me, because here we have Donald Trump, who has 65 million Twitter followers, and is using that platform as the president of the United States to openly intimidate witnesses, to threaten witnesses, to obstruct justice. And
I was gonna try to get an update on that. Here, I can turn down this idiot since she's not saying anything useful. Hold on. So it seems like I can find the remote. Last I heard, they had tried to put a ballot initiative and it didn't get enough signatures, and then they were attempting a lawsuit to try to take that away. Is that correct?
Accountability.
So, look, I don't just want to push Donald Trump off Twitter, I want to push him out of the White House. That's our job. But the way,
saying that his Twitter account should be shut down.
Wow, when is that lawsuit supposed to take place?
Why it is We have had laws on the books for antitrust for over a century.
Halloween.
Decades now.
Oh no, no, that's kind of scary because usually when they schedule it right before is when they cut it off. That's what here in Arkansas we have a bunch of pro-life bills that are passed by some Republicans, and some of them are rhinos, and they get thrown out by Judge Karen Baker, who's a federal judge in this area. I call her Judge Baby Killer Baker because she's thrown out like a dozen of these pro-life laws, and they keep letting her get away with it, and they kind of complain, and it's all just it's almost pretty much a circus act that they do every election just to say they got elected, so they can brag about something when they go do the stump speech to get reelected. So our governor is a rhino, and Asa Hutchinson, who would do everything in his power to sabotage any actual open or concealed carry relaxing of our laws. So, and then most of our Republican legislature is sadly on his side. We're 75% Republican, but most of them are actually on the kind of the NRA. We'll pretend to care about guns, but we'll not. We'll actually put so much confusion that it's basically impossible to carry. What's the political field there? Most of the you mentioned your Republican governor. Are most of your Republican legislatures aboard with allowing people to carry open or concealed, or what's the? Yeah.
I think the Tulsa guy and I don't have a problem with that. What I do have a problem with is that if we're going to talk seriously about breaking up big tech, then we should ask if people are taking money from the big tech executives. If we're going to talk seriously, we should ask if people are financing their campaigns by taking money from big drug executives. If we are going to talk about
Thursday I'm going to go to the Trump rally in Dallas. I'm trying to get a caravan of folks to go with me. Yeah, this Thursday night, or this Thursday at 7. But I would like to at least get some people to go to that event on Halloween, or when's a rally in front of the governor or whatever office.
Well, right now we have another November 1st, going on, and I am the lead Democrat on the antitrust committee.
I think it's 9 a.m. on Friday, which is November 1st.
Changing the standard, so we can do a better job of doing just what we've been talking about here, is breaking down some of this consolidation.
Okay, post a link to that, and then share it and send it to me, and then I'll share it to other people.
The issue here is this. Start talking about this as a
it's funny. That's All Saints Day.
This used to be a Republican and Democratic.
Originally a Christian holiday, and then Halloween was put in place to kind of bastardize it, kind of like the other holidays that are used.
We are seeing a startup that looks at it.
I'm really impressed with their work.
In terms of
they really got their stuff in order here.
How we look at monopolistic practices.
They're doing like 10 times
as
more than
Congressman O'Rourke said,
NRA
rules
can
for the
even
road
think about being
that
doing
match the
nationally.
challenges that we face today.
Yeah. I mean, we have an NRA rep, and I haven't seen or heard anything of her at all during the legislative session or the many, gun events that we've had here. We have currently we're stuck with, of course, our Attorney General Leslie Rutledge has kind of issued an opinion that at first says, yeah, you can open or conceal carry, but then the police can pretty much search you for anything. They can use any excuse to search you. And then we recently had Chris and Hall come by last Thursday at the Capitol, and then Saturday in Jonesboro to give kind of a lecture what's going on regarding our constitutional carry rights, or God-given rights to carry a firearm. They had firearms mentioned earlier in the debate, and of course the Beto was asked how he's going to enforce his laws. He never gave a yes or no answer. That's an important thing. Moms Demand's fairly active here. They have at least half a dozen chapters. They had about 30 people at their Capitol at any given time during the legislative session. How big is Moms Demand over there? Do they have a lot of people over there?
It's probably equals about what you guys got at Lower Road. And Jason Lane Bell was there last weekend
when they
to
have that
determine
big
if it
deal.
is compliant
And
with
he said
Roe
it was a
v.
pretty
Wade and
good
the
turnout on their
Constitution,
side.
and
That's
if
what
it is
that's what
not,
a shame
that will
is.
not go
You know,
into
Moms
effect.
Demand
That's
Action,
called
they can get over 100
preclearance.
people.
Because the
reporting to
reality
these
is
rallies.
that while
And the
we
people
still
on the
have, as I
right
said
wanting
earlier,
these
these
rights,
state
we can only, you know, we
legislators
probably watched our rally we had last
are
weekend. We had
outdated
60
and out of
people there.
touch,
Yeah.
mostly
You know, I
men who are
don't
telling
follow
women what to
football,
do with
so I
their
didn't realize it was
bodies.
Oklahoma,
And
Texas
there
weekend,
needs
so
to
we
be
really picked a bad weekend.
accountability and consequence. But you know, I'll
we
go
had
further.
60
You
people,
may
so
have
that's still
seen it.
pretty good
I
turnout for,
questioned
Yeah.
it half
a
now.
football
When
game
I was
like
a
that.
member of the Senate.
Yeah, what we do, so I know a group called Americans of Prosperity. What we do is we'll watch the Razorback game, but then we'll make calls to another state when they're not having football, and then when that state's having football, we stop and maybe call another place. So I would suggest for another rally, go ahead and bring a TV and then watch the game while you're there. You can do that. You can bring. I'm watching on Sling TV using the laptop to watch the Democrat debates now. So you know that's I forget how big that TV is, but you can get a laptop and then get a decent sized TV and watch the game, have a game watch party, and a rally at the same time.
I would codify Roe v. Wade and make it the law.
Oh, here they are murdering the unborn.
Right now is just
that-
Trump was standing up here with the debate stage. You know what I would say to him? I said, you said you wanted.
Oh yes, yes. I would love for CNN to ask about that. Of course, they won't. But yeah. It was it's the machine gun show they have in Kentucky twice a year, and why I don't know why they even thought nobody would notice that. They took the footage, and you could tell it's the difference between military footage and footage at a range. I've seen footage at that place.
90% of people want to make sure we have available contraception. You defunded Planned Parenthood. I would fund it again.
Senator, thank you. Senator Booker, the states prevail on restricting abortion. How would you stop that?
Let's be clear about this.
Yeah.
And then I read the headlines, and then I got to read it. I was like, it's the exact video I thought it was.
But they're particularly another example of people trying to punish.
And it's just so stupid. And people know they don't just talk to somebody and have them show it. When it's a broadcast, it has to be edited. It has to be where was this? Who took the footage, adjust the audio. There's multiple processes that go through even a small local news network, let alone the nationwide network. And it's really embarrassing. And the sad thing is there probably is a lot of Kurds being killed by Turkey, but it's mainly the fault of the deep state that's been having us lose war since Vietnam.
And I will also make sure that we fight as this
and let's be honest, these people didn't give a crap about the Kurds when Bush Senior invaded Iraq and then left Saddam in place because he's the only one to keep people in check. That's mainly because again our deep state doesn't allow us to get rid of these cowards. They didn't care about the Kurds when we went to Iraq under Bush too. They haven't cared about the Kurds. They don't care about Israel, which has been our ally fighting against Muslims. And the only reason to bring up the Kurds now is because it's a way to try to make Trump look bad. And the reality is Syria is a quagmire. There's no point in our troops in there when we have a deep state and then we have allies that stab us in the back constantly. And then the Kurds do have some problems. They have members of communism that are in their groups. They probably have some anti-American people in there. It's just like I said, it's a quagmire. There's at some point you have to pull out and leave and regroup and see what happens.
Severe health consequences.
Our military is made to fight.
Thank you very much. The Supreme Court is currently made up of 5 Republican-appointed justices and 4 appointed by Democrats. The court just announced that we hear arguments in a case challenging
Exactly.
abortion rights.
Well, they're now talking about murdering the unborn, aka abortion rights. Number one, anybody, and that should be a rule for any Republican in any debate. If some reporter or anyone asks reproductive rights or abortion rights, you immediately change the phrase to murder of the unborn because that's what it is. There's no medical procedure needed for it. If there's a child that's killing a mother, it's a stillborn or a C-section. That's just there's no such thing as a needed abortion. And there's no justification for murdering someone regardless of how they conceive.
right to choose for a better part of a generation. I would make sure that we move and insist that
Hey, Billy.
we codify Roe v. Wade. The public is already there. Things have changed. And I would go out and I would campaign against those people.
Oh yeah, Patriots Back 746.
Who in fact are throwing up this battery. Reproductive rights are a constitutional right. And in fact, every woman should have that right. And so I would not pack the court. What I would do is make sure that the people that are recommended to the court from Ruth Bader Ginsburg, so I mean, to work for the others, that they in fact support the right of privacy on which the entire notion of a woman's right to choose is based. And that's what I would do. No one would get on the court. And by the way, if in fact at the end of this, beginning next year, if in fact.
Yeah, I don't know how my phone just automatically on its own switched to the debate, so now you can't.
We would do exactly what
I haven't done too many of these live streams, and it just flipped me around. I don't know. Yeah, Patriots of Act 746, named after the act that gave us, that restored at least partially our rights to constitutional carry, and then it just did it again. It just does it auto. Their group, they have a few chapters, Central, Northwest Arkansas, Northeast Arkansas, and I think Southwest and Southeast. And they are the group that helped put Crescent Hall on. There's also the Arkansas Liberty Coalition. You're free to join them and then share that with others. So if you have other friends in Arkansas, so they're called Patriots of Act 746. And then Gun Owners of America has come down. I didn't exit out. Now y'all know what happened. It just cut you out. I don't know what the heck is going on with this phone.
Smarter legal minds than mine are discussing this in the Yale Law Journal and how this can be done without a constitutional amendment. But the point is that not everybody arrives on a partisan basis. There are other reforms that we could consider, from term limits. Don't forget, justices used to just retire like everybody else, to a rotation on.
Yeah, I lost you too. Hold on a second.
I'm not wedded to a particular solution, but I am committed to establishing a commission on day one that will propose reforms to depoliticize the Supreme Court, because we can't.
Thank you very much, Mayor Buttigieg. Secretary Castro, he's talking about making the court bigger. Your response, is it a good idea?
I don't think it is. I wouldn't pack the court. I think the plan that Mayor Pete mentioned is an interesting one, but I actually believe if we were selecting from one of those things, that the smarter move might be to look at term limits.
Yeah, it cut out for some reason. It flipped me around and then it cut you off. I don't know what it's doing. Maybe I should try not touching the phone at all.
I also make sure that I, as president, respect the precedent of Roe versus Wade.
It wouldn't surprise me because the Kurds for a while have had an element of them that are communists, and I forgot the term for them. But yeah, they've had communists as members of their organization. So, and that's been for years. Oh, I don't know. Let me see if I can approve Billy.
To be able to make a choice and to be able to have her health care.
I guess. Let me see if I can get Billy on. Yeah, sure. I kind of chat about it. Yeah, just send me the links of that, and then go ahead. Let me see if I can get Billy on.
I think, as Mayor Buttigieg said, there are many different ways. People are talking about different options, and I think we may have to talk about them. But on Roe versus Wade, can we just pause for a minute here? I lived in America where abortion was illegal.
Hey!
And rich women still got abortions.
I'm watching the Democrats talk about murdering unborn babies.
What we're talking about now is that people are denied access.
You just gotta make fun of it. I mean, they don't care about the Second Amendment, but Roe v. Wade's gospel. So I mean, it's ultimate hypocrisy. Hey, Jewel. Hey, Paula.
3 out of 4 Americans believe in the rule of Roe versus Wade. When you've got 3 out of 4 Americans supporting it, we should be able to get that passed through Congress. We should not leave.
Well, I'm trying to carpool with a bunch of folks to Trump event on Thursday. I think about me, girlfriend, and 2 other people are most likely considering to go. I think we all got tickets. But yeah, if you know anybody else that's going there, let me know. I was going to say, hey, but you don't look like Billy. Oh, that's okay, Penny. Yeah, this is what's called a dual broadcast, I guess, or bringing on camera. I forget what it's called, but the Facebook Live allows for one other person to be on the camera.
But Senator Warren said we can't do campaigns. We gotta level with people. Gotta level with people and tell them exactly what they're gonna do, how we're gonna get it done.
Absolutely. That's why I got this guy. But yeah, Trump will have a rally in Dallas on Thursday, and a lot of people got tickets, but there's usually a bunch of protests outside, so people can go to that. Halloween, there's supposed to be a ruling that Daniel's talked about earlier regarding the right to open or concealed carry. They're supposed to have a rally November 1st, All Saints Day at 9 a.m. at their capital. We had Chris Ann Hall, who had a meeting on Thursday and then another one Saturday. I'm not sure what other events are coming up. We got the Arkansas State Fair going on right now this week. But other than that, yeah, I'd heard some stuff about the Kurds, and they had in the debate earlier. None of them mentioned the fact that there's communists involved or that there's been multiple problems in trying to deal with stuff. Facebook, this live stream, it keeps popping up with comments, and then last time it flipped me at random, and then it cut me off. So if it cuts you off, that's why. It may be this phone. I keep trying to get the storage off this phone, and see, it just said I touched the phone, even though I didn't. Let me try to see if I can set it down so it won't think that I'm touching the phone. Yeah, I don't know. It could be a bunch of crap going on. I tried to live stream this with my laptop, and it wouldn't let me live stream with the laptop, even though I got a webcam on YouTube.
Tilt it just a little bit, Kenneth. That way the comments ain't covering your face.
Senator Sanders, respond.
Okay.
Republicans are getting things done. But you know,
Let me see here if I can.
I'm going to say this is a good friend. You got the disastrous war.
There you go.
Yeah, now I got to find a way to set this so it doesn't fall over. Or, oh wait a minute, I can adjust the laptop here.
You got trade agreements like NAFTA,
There you go. Now,
which have cost us $4 million.
All right, just comments are right there in my amazing way. Yeah, Facebook has sabotaged me before. That's
Well, I'm surprised you're even letting us go live, both together because, well, they take spells when they really hit me hard when they don't.
And tell them the function of healthcare is
Which I don't do a whole lot live from my personal account here. So they're kind of giving me a break on that. But if I go over on my page, I might not get 10 people watching. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and they like to do that. They Facebook Jan me years ago, so I only get a few people. But then I usually get like 100. There'll be like 200-300 that were watching later on. Like my view of Chris Ann Hall, just part of her lecture. One video I got had over 500 views. But then the live stream won't be on. So I mean, it's they don't. There's just ways to try to beat it. It's just kind of trying to find ways around it. I probably need to go ahead and revamp and make up my GoFundMe page, my Facebook page, my YouTube page. Because the subscribers aren't getting anything. They don't get notifications. I get all kinds of messages saying, I don't get notified. I'm going to get notifications from you. I was like, well, you did it last time? Yep. And they just keep doing it and doing it.
Well, we had a pretty good event. I'm sure Daniel already told you we had a pretty good event over in OKC.
Yes.
Running for office, show up and speak, and we had a pretty good turnout.
Yeah. Do you know when the primary is there in Oklahoma? I suddenly forgot to ask that.
No, I sure don't. Daniel can probably tell you though.
Yeah, ours is in March. I think it's March 1st or 3rd. And they're the big race is going to be Dan Sullivan, who is running against Rhino John Cooper up in Jonesboro, Craighead County area. There's I had a list of the primary elections, and I need to repost it because that's the thing when you really need to focus on right now. Arkansas is going to have a fiscal session at the state capitol, but that's mainly going to be funding bills. Unless somebody puts a bill to cut the funding to some of these pedo indoctrination schools, or cut the funding to some of these sanctuary campuses, it's not going to do much. We have a bill to cut the funding to sanctuary cities. It doesn't go into effect until January.
Agency was passed into law, and I am deeply grateful to every single person who fought for it and
Saying
to
something
help
interesting.
pass it into law. But understand.
Yeah, they were laughing at Elizabeth Warren for something.
Thank you.
Well,
But understand this. It was a dream big.
well,
fight
that,
hard. People told me, go for something
seen what
little.
Governor
Go
Newsom
for
did out there in
something
California
small.
by signing
Go for
those
something
bills
that the big
where they've
corporations
got
wouldn't be
enhanced
able
red
to
flag
accept.
now.
I said,
Oh, wow. What's an
let's
enhanced
go
red
for
flag? I don't even.
agency that will make structural
And basically, if you
change in our
work with
economy.
co-workers or
And so
whatever,
President Obama
you
said,
say
I
you
will
and
fight
your
for that, and
co-worker ain't getting
sometimes
along too
have
well.
fight
You
against
just say,
people
you
in
know,
his own
hey, you liberal
administration.
retard, you need to start doing your damn jobs instead of sitting on gas.
Mayor
That co-worker can go down there to the sheriff's office
which is
and
the
file a red flag report on you.
right vision for a Democrat to beat the
Basically, the cops show up at your house, want your guns, and if you don't want to get your gun, they get a warrant to get your guns and your ammo.
That I've witnessed
And
like
it
this, I
lasts
could
up
take
to
the
5
fight for
years.
everybody. We need to move past.
Wow. So now it's co-worker.
Basically, it's just gun confiscation is all it is. It's
Yeah, it's Gestapo style. That's what the Gestapo did. That you could report on a neighbor and you could go, oh, that's where the Jews are at, so let's go get them. No, see, now I'm running out of power. That's why I had to hold the phone in the first place.
I don't agree that there's any
can call now. I mean, co-workers, whatever.
such thing as back to normal.
They're just opening up the full. Well,
Because here in the industrial Midwest, definitely
you
where
know,
I live,
and that's the reason
normal
that the fight
work.
for the
That's part of how
Second
we got
Amendment in the states is
That's part of how a guy like Donald Trump managed to get within shooting distance of the Oval Office in the first place. But I also don't agree with Senator Warren that the only way forward is infinite partisan combat. Yes, we have to fight. Absolutely, we have to fight for the big changes at hand. But fight. Once again, I want to take you back to that day after
I
Trump
clicked
has
the wrong
stopped
button
being
on that
president.
guy.
Think about what the president can do to unify a new American majority.
Okay, they're talking about right vision for Democrats to beat Trump. I don't know whether they're going to beat Trump with illegal aliens, voter fraud, and
assault weapons ban, which would be a huge deal. Making college free for
having enough deep state destroy the economy or to do an impeachment.
Unless we go even further. Free college for low and middle income students isn't good enough unless we're also paying for the children of billionaires. Immigration reform isn't enough unless we also decriminalize border crossings. We have an opportunity to do the biggest thing I've done in my lifetime. I did not say action normal.
Thank you, Mayor.
It isn't a flyover part of the country. Heartland is where I live. And I want to win those states that we lost last time. And I have bold ideas to get us there. And I think just because they're different than Elizabeth doesn't mean
that's
they're
what.
bold.
And that,
But we can't get any of this done on climate change or immigration reform.
yeah, that's why I say to people we need massive people turn out, not just for Trump, but for conservatives all along the line, because they will try to steal. They always try to steal elections. They've done it every time. Florida 2000.
Iowa and North and South Dakota. And I do it by going not just where it's comfortable, but where it's uncomfortable. And that is why I have been in Pennsylvania and in Michigan and in Wisconsin and all over Ohio and in Iowa. Because I think we need to build a blue Democratic wall around those states and make Donald Trump pay for it.
So, Warren, she referenced you, so you can respond.
People who are struggling to pay health care are fighting today. People who are getting crushed by student loans are in a fight today. People who are getting stopped by the police or paid less because of the color of their skin are in a fight today.
Cut me off.
And anyone who does this are already in these fights is not someone who's likely to win them. For me, this is about knowing what's broken, knowing how to fix it, and yes, I'm willing to get out there and fight for it.
Senator Sanders,
Senator
Sanders, why is your approach more likely to beat President Trump?
I'll tell you why. And here's the radical reason why. It's what the American people want.
Yes.
All right? The American people do not want tax breaks for billionaires. They want the rich to start paying their fair share of taxes. Poll came out yesterday. 71% of Democrats support Medicare for all. The people of this country understand that we've got to make public colleges and universities tuition free. And more Americans, including Republicans, understand we need bold action if we're going to save this planet for our children and our grandchildren. The way you win an election in this time in history.
Feed.
is not to
Let me
say
type.
people. You have to inspire people. You have to excite people. You got to bring working people and young people and poor people into the political process because they know you stand for them, not corporate America.
Congressman O'Rourke, is political revolution what the American
Basically, if
people
we
want?
work
Your
for
response.
There was some talk about
whatever,
getting
you
good things
can
done.
say,
When I was
so
first
what they
elected to
got
Congress, I
is they
found that El
got
Paso,
smear
Texas
Trump.
had the
They
worst
got
wait
trying to
times
convince
Will you?
in the country to see
Hey, Word, come on. Cancel. What are you doing? I don't want any of that. What are you doing? X out.
Hiring up the psychiatrists and psychologists and therapists to take care of those women and men who put their lives on the line for this country. And we were able to do that. And we took what we learned and we applied it to a national law as a member of the minority, working with Republicans and Democrats alike to expand mental health care access for veterans nationally. And then in Texas, one of what was thought to be the reddest states in the country, going to every single county, talking about this progressive agenda and winning more votes than any Democrat has ever won. That's the way that we defeat Donald Trump in November of
Thank you. We have
2020.
to take a quick break. The CNN New York Times debate live from Ohio will continue right after this.
We're reporters from the New York Times. No flights, no roads. We're trying to figure out what animals are being affected. And Ohio is a really challenging place to work. El Nino starting to go haywire. Everywhere is going to get touched by climate change.
Let's see if I can find a battery here.
This is an hour for the brightest minds of America. If Mr. Edison succeeds, he will send us back so far we never recover. Well, if you brought your checkbooks, our future's not going to be petty good bricks for the car. I have the better system. Westinghouse electric shower doing it. The city of light. I built it already in my imagination. Tonight things could. Directed by Alfonso Gomez Rego, written by Michael Mitnick.
Hey, everybody, I'm back.
Especially those in jobs where unscrupulous businesses keep wages lower by hiring millions of illegal workers. Those businesses.
Oh, here's the illegal alien E-Verify thing. I think there's a short in this phone because it's just crapping out on me. Yeah, I had a conversation with Billy Sessions about some of what's going on, but it's just kind of the Democrat debates. In closing, CNN's giving them a complete pass on what they do. Like they had some stupid ad here. Okay, CNN just has a commercial about urging people. I didn't want to do that. The Washington Post, it was an ad for the Washington Post, but it was on CNN, and it was urging people to not click on clickbait. Anyway, I'm about kind of fed up with the Democrat debate, so I'm going to go ahead and end. Hey, Paula, y'all can see some of the other footage of what I was talking about. I got to do some errands. I got to actually make a call. Hi, Rebecca. So I'm about to go head on out. I got to do, like I said, a few errands. I'm just going to walk this evening. Yeah, like I said. So I'm about to end this. Y'all like, share, and comment. Check out my other videos. I didn't bother to camcorder this. I kind of got late notice on this. My phone is also about to run out of power anyway. I can't want to hold this phone all night. So anyway, I don't know. I'll try to film and live stream on Thursday at the Trump rally. I'll let people know. I want to do a road trip where I can get in and go to that. But I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this here.
Change your souls. Completely
Okay. No, I don't live in a rat shailer, Dat Bowie.
Hi, I'm Ron Reagan.
I'm just going to remove you.
And I'm all alarmed by the intrusion of religion into our secular government.
No such thing as a secular government. All government is worship something, whether they admit it or not.
The nation's largest and most effective association.
Okay, so anyway.
And agnostics.
Anyway, y'all like, share, and comment, and I'll have to redo a bunch of other website stuff that I have.
Please